so excited to have Mithali de Percastia on our show today. And I would like to invite you to share where you're at right now.
Hi there. Thank you for having me, Rose. So I'm here in the UK, and I am a book consultant and publisher for ethical, sustainable, or plant-based brands and business owners.
Beautiful. And I want to invite you to share the moment or the day that you got really clear, like that aha moment of this is my purpose and this is my journey. And even in that moment, if you weren't sure that that's what it was, if you could take us just kind of and through your journey and share with us so we can unfold together and hear a little bit about you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I've always been interested in writing from a very early age, so it was natural for me to, well, I was a journalist in my first incarnation. I was a journalist for a while. Then I moved into copywriting. Then I became a ghostwriter, writing for other people. And then I transitioned into teaching people how to write their own books. But the real turning point for me was actually in 2020 during the pandemic, which was, let's face it, a weird year for probably every human being on the planet. It was like, what on earth is going on? This feels like we're in some kind of science fiction dystopian movie. This is just really weird. So I think we had a lot of time, a lot of downtime really to just sit there and think and go, what am I really doing? And sometimes you need that. I've noticed that, especially as a business owner. We can be really hard on ourselves and we just have to on the go, we need to keep working, we need to keep succeeding. But some of the best thinking and the best ideas will come to you when you've taken time off, you've gone for a walk, or even sometimes when you sat on the loo for a little bit, you sat on the toilet and suddenly a great idea comes up and you're thinking, where does that come from? But so that's where ideas come from. And in 2020, we had an extended amount of time to actually sit there and think. And I'd realized that I'd got to the grand old age of, late 30s. Actually, I'd already turned 40 at that stage. And I'd been so busy building up a career, a business, that I hadn't really sat and taken stock of what I've achieved, but also whether this was what I really, really wanted. And the big turning point for me, Rose, was when I was just watching all the news. We watched a stupid amount of news in 2020 because there's nothing we could do. We're all locked down. So we just sat there going, oh, I best watch the news and see what on earth is going on. And the big thing was this virus that had turned up at, we think, somewhere in China and then spread out. But the big thing that stuck for me was it seems like it came initially from wet markets, which is where animals are being cooped together, slaughtered in front of each other, and diseases are being passed around. And that's how it got out. I remember that time feeling really angry and upset. And I just thought, we kind of, in a sick way, we kind of deserve this, because of the way we're treating animals. But then that realization that nothing's actually going to change. And I was pessimistic enough, even back in 2020, to think that actually nothing's going to change on this. And it hasn't happened. The optimist in me wanted to believe that maybe now, finally, something will change. Maybe finally we'll be like, we can't treat animals like this. Forget even just having a heart or any compassion for their suffering. Just even if all you cared about was human beings, we saw what happened in 2020. Another pandemic is going to come if we carry on doing this. The optimist in me kind of thought, well, maybe, just maybe, we might listen and actually not consume animals the way we're doing and breed them the way we're doing. No, that hasn't happened. So sorry, folks, it looks like another pandemic is going to be on our way in our lifetimes, and we're going to go through all that hell again. But it was during that time that I realized that the kind of people that I really want to help write books are the people who are talking up. What really irritated me watching, so I never usually watch the news because it's just so depressing, but in 2020 we're kind of stuck there with nothing to do. So I did watch more news in 2020 than I think my entire life put together. And it just used to annoy me, like all these experts that were coming on, environmental experts. No one's talking about the fact that animal agriculture is one of the biggest contributors to methane going into the air, which is one of the big causes of climate change. that's just one example. There's just so many of these experts who are coming on. But it's like, we're the real experts, and I realized I wanted those people to write books. And that was the turning point. That's when I rebranded from Let's Tell You Story Publishing to the Vegan Publisher. I don't just publish people vegans. I do have clients who are not vegan, but they're all aligned in wanting to make the world a better place, as cliched as that sounds. But they're not just in it for the money. They are putting people and planet, and in some cases animals, before profits. And since then, honestly, Rose, I was so worried about rebranding, because I thought, I'm going to put some people off. As Let's Tell You Story Publishing, I can help anybody, any business owner or non-profit, write a book. Whereas as the Vegan Publisher, the name says it all, you're kind of putting you're kind of nailing your colors to the mast a little bit and saying, hey, this is someone who will not just publish any book. They'll only publish books that are doing some kind of greater good, whether that's to do with social injustice, whether that's to do with animal rights, whether that's to do with environmental impact or sustainability. There has to be something more than, hey, I'm a great business owner and please buy my book and make me even more famous. What happened was, within 12 months, my turnover doubled. So it just goes to show how niching down and really finding your purpose and who your gang is, really finding out who your gang is. It works. Yes, I am probably putting off lots of people now that I didn't do as Let's Tell You Story Publishing. However, I'm glad I'm putting those people off, because they're not my crew. They're not my tribe. So yeah, that's where, and I think maybe the lesson in there is, take some time out. If you really don't know what your purpose is, don't do what I did and just be, on this crazy race, which I was in for 20 years, just keep pedaling, keep going, not thinking about what I was doing. And it took the pandemic for me to just have time to just sit down and think. And that's when I thought, this is what I really want to do. And I haven't looked back since. Since then, it's so nice to actually finally, I make a living with doing something that I genuinely believe in, and it's purposeful. Whereas before, I loved writing, I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed helping people write books, but that was it. It was just the writing process. What they actually wrote about, it didn't really matter. As long as they were happy, that's all that mattered. But now it matters to me what my authors write about. It really matters to me.
Beautiful. I want to ask you, not your favorite, but if you can share one of the books that you've helped publish that have had an impact, and how
I'm so glad you didn't say favorite, because it would be like someone trying to choose between their children. I couldn't do that. Oh my God, all of them. Because I'm helping people who are social entrepreneurs, B Corp founders, sustainability experts, ethical business owners. I definitely couldn't choose between them, because they're all making an impact. God, let me just think. Well, from a plant-based or vegan point of view, I've had a number of authors. I know there's one lady, Kimberly and Dana, who's wrote a book for Gen Z, so for the under 25-year-olds, who seem to be the most conscious regarding how much we're damaging the planet. And it's a book that really explains to them how to go plant-based, first of all, but also explains to them how eating animals is affecting their mental health. So I thought that was really interesting, because a lot of the rhetoric regarding having a plant-based diet for health seems to be aimed at 30 plus. So people who are now getting older, things are starting to creak a little bit, things are not working so much, and they're kind of going, I kind of need to get healthier. Whereas people under 30 rarely think about things like that. I remember just being able to eat whatever on earth I wanted and didn't put weight on. And you can at that age, you're as my mum would say, you're springy. You're just a springy person, and things just bounce off you. You can eat junk food for months and you still look great. After 30, that's not going to happen. So but I found that really interesting, in that what Kimberly was doing was taking a slant that I haven't seen before, which is, you can't get the under 30s to go plant-based by talking about physical health, because they're too young to really care about physical health, because they can damage themselves quite a lot and still be fine. But mental health is a big topic for the under 30s, a huge topic. And I would say that generation has been affected more with mental health issues than any other generation previous to it. The pandemic has been a big factor of that and really affecting their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So to make that link that eating animals actually affects your mental health badly, I thought that was really, really interesting. And she is a teen and child psychologist, so she knows what she's talking about. She isn't just making this up, by the way. She's actually seen it in her clinic with these young people coming in, and the more meat and dairy they're eating, the more it affects their mental health. And as soon as you start cutting it out, they dramatically improve. Sometimes in the space of weeks, their condition dramatically improves. So I think that was quite an interesting one. Outside of sort of like the vegan plant-based world, oh gosh, how do I pick one? It's so difficult. It's like trying to pick, from your children. I don't even have kids. I have cats, and I can't pick between my cats. So I would say there's a gentleman about 3 or 4 years ago who published a book, Dan, and his book was all about, well, he lost the use of his legs in an accident. And he was told, like most people who are in wheelchair, they're told it's imperative that you exercise because you're sedentary, even more than your average sedentary person. At least is still walking up and down stairs and going about, even if they don't really leave the house, they're still walking around the house, But someone who's in a wheelchair is literally sat down the entire time. So it's drilled into them, you must work out every single day. However, every single workout plan out there involves someone in a wheelchair needing a second person to spot them. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, it's a very messed up advice you're giving somebody. You have to work out every day, but you also need to have provisions that someone will be with you every single day. That's not possible. People can't always do that unless you're really rich and you can have a live-in nurse with you all the time. It's not possible for that to happen. So he devised a workout strategy that someone in a wheelchair can do without needing somebody else, safely and without damaging themselves. So that book has gone around the world and helped so many wheelchair users stay fit and healthy when they don't have the money or family members who are just going to be there every single day to help them exercise. So that's just two. I mean, I could be here for hours talking about every single one of my authors, because they've all written about something. Not all of them is to do with plant-based living or veganism. Some of them are to do with, as this one, helping people who are disabled in some way. But all of these books are helping us, the human race, in some way. So they're all pretty incredible. You can tell I'm very proud of them. I can't stop smiling whenever I talk about my authors.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Mithali. I just want to celebrate you for each of those books. You're helping.
Thank you. 47 now. I published my 47th author 2 weeks ago. So now it's getting to the big 50, which I hope to do by the end of 2024. So keep your fingers crossed I can get 3 done by this year, and then I can celebrate my 50th milestone. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. So currently we're celebrating 47 books impacting the world in a positive way, which will be here for history. So just want to celebrate you and thank you so much for sharing your journey and these eye-opening experiences. I completely agree that when you slow down and you can listen to your inner self, that's when you can start hearing, okay, what am I meant to be here for? What is my purpose? You start tuning in. And so that's the whole purpose of these stories, is to inspire others and share their journey and to start their journey. So I just want to celebrate you and thank you so much for being here today, and looking forward to hearing many more of your stories and to celebrating your 50th.
Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you for having me.